We have some very interesting comments just in from the great Jim Root of Slipknot about where the band stands now as it relates to new music, touring, and their new drummer Eloy. He's going into all of it. And of all the members of Slipknot, other than Corey, you really get the most from Jim when he talks about the current state of the band, and he really just pulls no punches and is always down to tell you what he's thinking. And really interesting stuff, because a couple of weeks ago, an interview came out that was apparently done late last year, where you had Jim saying, look, we've been on the road nonstop in 2024, celebrating the band's anniversary, and he needed time to come home, relax after the grueling touring schedule, and really just get inspired again. And so that interview was done months ago, and now we have this brand new one where he's opening up about where things stand now, and his response is definitely very exciting, because we've heard him talk about the band's latest record, The End So Far, which came out back in 2022. And this album was done differently than any other Slipknot record where they're in the studio working on new ideas. This album, unfortunately, was done remotely because of everything being shut down due to COVID. And he has expressed, it wasn't his favorite Slipknot album, to say the least. And so the band moving forward with this new energy, this new drummer, Eloy's been putting on amazing performances. I'm very optimistic about the future of this amazing metal band. Here's what he had to say about where things stand now with Slipknot. We know Jim Root is a big motorcycle guy, so no surprise he appeared on the Turning Wrenches podcast to talk about his love of motorcycles and all things motorsports, but also he delved into the current status of Slipknot and where things could go with the band in the future. Really exciting stuff. Now, we had heard him previously say that, look, the band was worn out from touring as much as they did, so they needed some time to kind of figure things out, and he actually had a hilarious response to that as well, something he said to the band's management. One of the things he addressed was what Eloy brings to the table in the band. He told them, quote, "He is a monster, and he lives, breathes, and eats drums." He's like, the dude practices in between songs when we're playing live. He's got a practice pad, you know what I mean? And while Corey's talking, he literally turns around and he's doing rudiments on it and all that. It's just wild. Now, Jim said that Slipknot really wanted to get out on the road once they had Eloy in the band, so that kind of maybe pushed things back musically, but it was important for them to celebrate their rich history on that anniversary tour. He said, quote, "We kind of had to do it because of our drummer swap situation, and once we got Eloy in the band, it's like we needed to get out there and get in front of people and show people why Eloy is part of Slipknot, And that was extremely important to us. But honestly, now that Eloy is in the band, we need to write a record. And it's really hard for me personally to be creative when you have a tour looming over your shoulder. So after this European run, like I told our manager, I'm like, stop booking tours, dude. Stop it. I get it. It's Slipknot, so there's always offers coming in. But I kind of put my foot down. I was like, we need to stop, man. We just need to stop because I want to write a record, and we owe it to Eloy to write a record. Now, shortly after Slipknot announced that Eloy had joined the band, there was talk about this mysterious new track called Long May You Die. And I don't know if or when that track is coming out, although it was previously said that would happen. But the good news is this. We had previously heard Jim in that interview that was done late last year saying, look, I need to get inspired. I need to have some time to relax. And it came out a couple of weeks ago. But now in this brand new podcast, he had some very exciting stuff to share about where new music stands now for Slipknot. Obviously, Jim is a creative force in the band. He's so influential in their songwriting, and he revealed that he's got 6 new arrangements that he feel are up to the standard of Slipknot, and he's really excited about it. So I'm so optimistic about this new music. He said, quote, "I've got like 6 new arrangements that I think are worthy of giving to the rest of the guys. I won't give the guys stuff that I don't think is worthy of being on a Slipknot record. And there's enough room that everybody can put their input on and we can take it to that level. And right now I'm looking at 6 and I have 4 more that I'm working on. And I'd like to have 20 or 25 before we actually start doing pre-production and rewriting and rearranging and Corey putting lyrics on everything." Now, we've heard interviews from Jim in the past where he says that he wasn't exactly super pumped about the way things turned out for The End So Far. So to hear this and to hear that he's really started the process and he sounds so excited about this new music makes me pumped about what this next record could be. And it sounds like this could potentially be Slipknot's first album, maybe independently. Who knows? I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in having them, and who knows how that'll pan out. But I'm really optimistic about how Slipknot could do things completely on their own terms. And so while there's obviously a very long way to go before we get a new Slipknot record, it's great to hear that things are well underway. And with that in mind, it also sounds like we won't have to wait as long as we might think for new music for Slipknot. And here's why. Jim says he would actually prefer to put some new music out before they even start working on the record. He said, I would really like to release something before we start working on a record because it's going to take us, I think we need to be able to take our time and write and do pre-production, and that's going to take a while. So I would like to get something out sooner to kind of satisfy. Of these 6 that I have done now, I'm willing to throw those out to the rest of the guys and see if, any of them grab their attention. And, we could easily, after we get back from Europe, get out to Clown Studio and start working on one of these and put out. I'd like to do 1, 2, maybe even 3 in the meantime. I'm getting really stoked about this because it also sounds like Slipknot really wants to go back to basics on this record. Here's Jim talking about how he wants the next record to be very, very raw for Slipknot. He said, I want to make a raw album that kind of like, I don't ever want to repeat myself. We don't, as a band, ever want to repeat ourselves. But I would like to revisit the raw energy of how those first 2 records were recorded and even into the Volume 3 record. Oh my gosh, dude, sign me up. He says, there's just something really stripped down and punk rock about it, and I think we've been missing that on our past few records, and I think it's time to get back to that in some ways. Yo. The thing about Jim Root is he always keeps it real in his interviews, and I am very optimistic about how things are sounding here. And as he pointed out, there's a really long way to go. But I know we're all appreciative of this update, getting an idea of where things stand now, and to hear him pumped about it, considering the things he said in the past, this is a very, very good sign. They're taking their time. They're making sure that they do it on their terms. And I think for all bands, I would rather wait a while to get a Slipknot record that they're very, very proud of than to just be on some arbitrary timeline. So this is, if you're a Slipknot fan, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic here with Jim talking about going back to the early sound. Absolutely insane. Really looking forward to that. That's your latest update here from Rockfeed. Be sure to subscribe and notifications on for the latest news and updates right here. And shout out to the Feed fam, always directly supporting. Really appreciate it. Hit the join button to support this channel.